Hey y'all, today is Wednesday when I'm recording this. I don't know what day you're listening to this to, okay? I'm probably going to upload it on Thursday, but who knows? Maybe you're listening to this on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we're back to Wednesday. Whatever, happy day, okay? I hope you're having a great week or a great weekend, and welcome back, or welcome to the MyIBSLife podcast. Listen, the intros, they're not going to get better. They're not going to get better. And we're all just going to have to accept that. Exciting note for this episode is I am currently filming it, okay? It's nothing fancy. Okay, we've got the worst background ever. It's me sitting on my floor, okay, with my beige ass house in the background. My whole house is a dungeon, okay? Natural lighting, not available here. 2, beige as fuck. Sad as fuck. What do they call it? Like sad beige girl color or something? That's my house. You guys all know. You see it in my videos anyway. We've got that going on. I'm filming on my iPhone. The quality is not there, but we're trying, okay? And by that, I mean we're half-assing. I also believe the landscapers just started mowing the lawn, so hey, we're really doing great here. But I believe I'll be uploading this to YouTube. I don't know. I might get scared. I might not do it. But if you're interested, no, literally they're mowing the lawn in the backyard now. Listen. Can you hear that? Y'all, I'm fucking sorry. Am I going to stop? No, I'm not. Because otherwise I'm not going to do it. Okay, I'm not going to do this. The thing about me is if I need to do something, I need to do it in the moment. Okay? Because otherwise I'm not going to do it. And I just know that about myself. And it's a bad trait, but I just know that. Oh, good. They're mowing in the back and the front yard. I love living here. Okay, anyway. I'm filming on my iPhone. The quality is not the best. But listen, if you are interested in watching this episode, try to find it on my YouTube channel. It may or may not be there. And if you are watching, hey, I'm sorry. Trigger warning, my face. We're not looking great today. But that's because we're not feeling great today. I did not want to put on makeup. I honestly had my hair up in a claw clip, and I was like, okay, that's even too much for me. So I took it down, and I'm trying to hide as much of my face as I can. So yeah, I'm not feeling well today. That's my intro for today. I'm not doing great today. And it's not even my IBS. And that's what I think is maybe the most annoying part. I am so passionate in the fact that if you have a chronic illness condition, if you have chronic pain, you should not get acute illnesses or pain on top of it. No, literally mow the lawn. No, literally please mow the lawn. You were actually supposed to mow it 2 days ago and you never do it on time, please. And it's not like a landscaper I hired. I live in a community. And the people that run our community are fucking assholes. Okay? It's you get fined for anything living here. If you have a weed grow out of your sidewalk, fined. But they're yeah, we mow the lawn every Monday, plan for it. And then they come on Tuesday, Thursday, fucking Friday. And I'm excuse me, you owe me $500. That's how it is. Anyway. If you have a chronic illness or chronic pain of any kind, you should not have to deal with acute illnesses or pain on top of it, okay? What do you mean that I feel nauseous and have diarrhea almost every day of the week and now have to have a cold? What do you mean that, hey, sometimes I can't even take a shit for 10 days and now I also have the flu? What do you mean that I feel I got hit by a bus day in, day out for because my body thinks that's fun and now I have strep throat? The worst is when you have a chronic gut issue, which if you're listening to this, you probably do, and you get a stomach virus on top of that. What? I don't know who to talk to about that. I don't know if that's something I bring up with God once I'm out of this world. or if there's someone I could talk to before that happens. But it's criminal. It's criminal, and something needs to be done about that, because what the fuck? What the fuck is that? So I promise I'm going to try to be as brief about that. I know no one cares, but today, and I've already complained about it on Instagram like 3 times. Like I said, all I do is complain, okay? This was what I was put on this earth to do, is to complain to the masses. And by the term masses, I mean the 200 people that listen to this podcast. And I am so fucking thankful for all 200 of you. Holy shit, bestie. Thanks for being here. I just spit all over myself. I don't know what's going on. I tested myself for COVID this morning and I don't have it, which is great. I was very relieved by that. The thing is, like, I so badly want to be like, I feel like shit, dude. I feel like garbage, but it's dramatic. It's dramatic to say that. Excuse me. Really, I am mildly uncomfortable. Okay? I have a scratchy throat that is pissing me off. I have a slight headache. My tummy hurts, which that probably would have happened anyway, whether I had other symptoms or not. And I'm a bit tie-tie, okay? I'm a bit sleepy. I actually felt worse yesterday. I had like a pounding headache and like all I could do was like lay in bed. Today I actually feel a bit better. But our friends that we saw on Sunday are sick as well with the same symptoms, except like they're down for the count, okay? Like they cannot get out of bed. They have fevers of like 101.5. Thankfully, I don't have that. We're all testing negative for COVID, so it's just some bullshit virus or something. But what the hell, man? Like, I deal with enough, and they have a baby, so they deal with enough, okay? What is this? Also, I get like scared every time I get sick because I am so crazy about washing my hands and staying healthy and not putting my fingers in my mouth or touching my eyes or stuff when I'm in public, or after, at least until I've like washed my hands. And then when I do get sick, I'm like, what happened? Where did I fuck up? Where did I fuck? You mean I'm not invincible? And that sends me spiraling. But that's what's going on today. And it really is just like a mild inconvenience that is just really upsetting me. Like, I feel like sometimes just feeling mildly sick is just as annoying as being really sick. And that's not true at all. But like in this moment, that feels true. But I would much rather feel like this than be as sick as my friends. And I hope that they get better soon. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Okay? What are we here to talk about today? Work. I get asked a lot, like, what do I do for work? And the short answer to that right now is I do social media. Okay? I have MyIBSLife that I do all my fun little videos and get to talk about my tummy aches. And I'm fucking thankful for that. Holy shit. That was literally like my dream career. I cannot tell you how much of a dream career this has been. And I also do some freelance social media stuff. And we'll talk about that in a different episode. Like, I want to do a whole episode on what I currently do. But I also wanted to talk about my past jobs. And like the past jobs I've had where I've had to deal with my IBS. And I kind of want this to be like a few part series. Like I'll make a few episodes about this because I kind of want to do it like job by job. And I'm going to start with, I'm just going to talk about the jobs I've had after college, because in college I had a few jobs. They were mainly writing for different newspapers on campus because, fun fact, I did get a degree in journalism. Kind of wasted that. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. It's not journalism. I thought I was, okay, first I went, this is like, do you care? First I went to school. I think I might have talked about this. I went to school to become a registered dietitian, to fix myself, okay? I wanted to fix my IBS. And then I wanted to fix other people's IBS. Quickly realized that I not only suck at math and chemistry, but that I was also too lazy to like figure it out. So then that's when I switched to journalism because I've always loved writing. And at first I was like, okay, I'll become a journalist that writes about like health and wellness. But then somehow down the line, I started writing for the school newspaper, and I actually started covering like bands. Like I used to go to all the concerts on campus, and I would get like backstage passes to interview the musicians, which was like really cool and fun. And then I convinced myself that I was going to do investigative journalism my senior year of college. Like I was going to be getting on planes, flying across the world to cover like, honestly, like the scary shit that's happening in the world right now. I don't know why I lied to myself. I don't know why I think that's who I want to be, or who I wanted to be at that time. That was never going to be me. Okay. So anyway, most of my jobs in college were just writing for different school newspapers and stuff. And it was a real job. I got paid to do it, like whatever. But it mainly consisted of me sitting at my laptop in my apartment, my sorority house, wherever I was living. And it's just not noteworthy. So we're going to start with after college. My first job out of college was in retail. I worked at a store, and I'm going to give you a second to guess what store I worked at, because I wish I could actually hear your guys' thoughts, but like, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to guess where I worked, guess what vibe I give off, what clothing store. It's a clothing store, okay? Ready, set, 5 seconds, go. It was Kohl's. I worked at Kohl's. Do I give off a Kohl's vibe? I honestly feel like I do. Like, there's something about me that, like, I feel like I give off a Kohl's vibe. But I worked at Kohl's. I started August of 2016 when I moved home from college, because I stayed this summer and then I moved home. No one cares. August 2016 to January 2017. So I was there like 5 or 6 months, whatever time period that was, 5 or 6 months. And I honestly think it's the hardest job I've had to date. I'm not kidding. And I fucking can't stand when people think that working in retail or some sort of service job, like being a waiter or waitress in a restaurant or whatever, like I hate when people think those aren't real jobs. Because if all you've ever done is worked like a cushy 9-to-5 office job, bitch, I'm not saying your job is easy. I think everyone should have to be in a customer service job. I think everyone should have to work at a job where you face the public day in, day out and get your ass whooped, okay? It changes you. I mainly want to focus, though, on like how these jobs were in addition to like dealing with my IBS. And I think that, again, my retail job was the hardest in managing working while dealing with a chronic condition. So yeah, I worked at Kohl's, and there were a lot of reasons that I felt like it's been my hardest job. And now, okay, can we all just take a breath, take a second, realize that I am not a psycho. I am a down-to-earth human. I know there are 8 million jobs out there that are obviously harder than working retail, okay? Teachers, I fucking see you. Nurses, doctors, and I'm going to bring up a few other professions as we're talking. I'm just talking about my experience, okay? Let me be dramatic. I don't actually think I've had the hardest job in the world. And speaking of cushy jobs, I've had them all. But working in retail was the hardest of the cushiest jobs I've had. First of all, like I said, you're dealing with the public, right? And especially when you don't feel well, if you're like working a shift and you are just like not in your own brain, all you're thinking about is your stomach hurting or how, trying not to shit your pants or whatever it might be. Even dealing with a lovely customer is a little difficult because it's hard to just concentrate and have a normal conversation and pretend to be normal while talking to them and trying to help them and bringing them through the store and whatever. But of course, also dealing with the asshole customers, which unfortunately, I would say 95% of the interactions I had with customers were great or neutral. It was like a normal conversation, pleasant people. I worked during the holidays, which I'm going to get back to later. I worked on Black Friday. I worked through Christmas. I worked after Christmas. People are fucking nuts. Hey, ma'am, you're in a Kohl's. Okay? It's not that serious. If you're walking in to ruin a Kohl's employee's day, take a Xanax. Hey, have a cocktail first. It's not that serious. Okay? Can promise you I don't get paid enough to deal with this. Also, I don't make the rules. I work here. I clock in, clock out. I'm just here to pay the bills. Dealing with like asshole customers when you don't feel well is just like more infuriating because all you want to do is be like, bitch, I don't give a fuck. Okay? Like, I am just trying to survive this day and you're yelling at me, and actually you're making my tummy hurt more by yelling at me. That was hard. I think one of the hardest parts of dealing with my retail job, which I think also goes into so many other professions, again, to mention teachers, nurses, doctors, like construction workers, any job where you have to be on your feet all day, that is hard. Especially, like, it's hard in general. Being on your feet all day, hard in general. It is so tiring and it like fucks your body up, to be honest. But when you're like flaring or not feeling well, or you just have like chronic fatigue, chronic body aches, dude, all I want to do is sit down. But guess what? Too fucking bad. You are up on your feet for anywhere. My shifts always range from 4 to 10 hours. And you're on your feet the whole time. Like, if you're lucky enough to actually get your scheduled like 5-minute break, that's not enough time, bitch. Okay? And when all you want to do is be like in fetal position because the cramping is so bad, too bad. You're on your feet. Okay? Nauseous? On your feet. Cramping? On your feet. Have your period? Too bad. Standing the whole time? That sucked. Like, that fucking sucked. Or even if I would be post-flare, because you know the post-flare hangover? When, like, you're done going through the motions with your intestines, but, like, you're so tired, you're overheating, like, and then having to be at work on your feet just wasn't the vibe. So that sucked. I think also, okay, there's two things I want to touch on, and I don't want to forget, so let me mention both right now. One was being understaffed was a fucking issue. And that is an issue that is at like every job and is so annoying. And two was the lack of routine when I worked in retail. Let's start with being understaffed. For some reason, they really loved me at Kohl's. I got employee of the month. Okay? I got employee of the month during our busiest month of the holidays. Okay? Not to flex. For some reason, they I don't know. They just really loved me there. I was a good worker, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But the problem that came with that was I think I fucked up in showing them that I was a little too competent. I was a little too much of like I wasn't even a good worker. Like, I just wasn't. But they thought I was for some reason. And they would schedule me consistently to be the only person in whatever department they put me in for the day. Be the only worker in that department. And, like, listen, again, it's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. But being the only person in a department, especially during the holidays when it's fucking nuts, was kind of wild. Because if I didn't feel well, hey, there were no breaks to go run to the bathroom real quick and get back. It wasn't possible. Okay? And, you know, of course you get your legally scheduled breaks, wink, wink, that you have to take, wink, wink. No, I didn't always get a break to to go take a break, to go sit down for a few minutes, to go use the restroom, to go take my fucking medicine in the back room so I could make it through the rest of my shift. That didn't always happen because they were understaffed and they were just throwing me in a department by myself. And they were like, good luck. I'm like, what the hell? Even on days I felt fine, that still sucked. So I just didn't always have time to even like take care of myself. And again, like sometimes it wasn't a big deal. It was like a 4-hour shift. And I was like, okay, just like fucking push through. But like sometimes it would be like a 10-hour shift. That's a long time, again, to be on your feet and to be the only person and to have to just like suck it up the whole time and be customer facing and be pleasant and be helpful and be attentive. And meanwhile, you're just screaming on the inside. Just screaming, and your intestines are screaming, and your insides are on fire. And on the outside, you're like, no, yeah, I hear you. I know you're pissed off about that pair of shoes. I know that already $2 t-shirt says it's on sale, but it's not. Sorry, you can't get it for 99 cents. Bitch, shut up. Shut up. Okay. So that was annoying. And then, yeah, the lack of scheduling. I didn't know it back then, but I think that fucked me up a lot more than I knew. Because they always say, and by they, I mean like healthcare professionals, always say that like the gut loves routine. And I know that's something I've talked about like on Instagram and stuff. The gut loves routine. So when I worked at my corporate jobs, like I was in such a routine every single day. My routine was always the same. Wake up at 7 a.m., get ready, leave the house at 8:15, get to the office at 8:30, work until 12, take an hour-long lunch break where I would eat pretty much the same thing every single day at the same time, go back to the office, work from 1 to 5, get home by 5:30, eat dinner, relax the rest of the night. Do it all fucking again the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. Everything was the same all the time, and my gut got used to that. And I'm not saying my gut cooperated every single day I worked at a corporate job, because it definitely did not. But it always kind of knew what should be coming next. With my retail job, I worked part-time. And because of that, like I did not have set days I came in every single week. I did not have set shifts I came in every single time. And because it was the holidays, it was a dumpster fire. Every week was different. My schedule was different every single week, which is fine. But especially once the holidays kicked in. Oh, bitch. Okay. Before the holidays kicked in, it was still a little like stressful, because again, like every single week it was different. It wasn't like I always knew I had Monday off, or I always knew I had Tuesday off. I never knew what days I was going to have off the following week. I never knew how long the shifts would be. I never knew what time of the day it was going to be at. And so my routine every single day was just different. You know, I was eating at all different times of the day. I was going into work at all different times of the day. Like, and my body just doesn't like that. I've just learned that through the years. My body doesn't like that. It likes to know what it's doing every single day. And that's just not always how life works. So that's really annoying that my body does that to me. It's just a little fucking high maintenance, and I don't appreciate it, but I don't know. It says fuck you. That's what I like. Once the holidays kicked in, my store was open 24/7 after Black Friday. Beginning Black Friday, which on Thanksgiving of 2016, my mom always hosted Thanksgiving, and I lived with my parents. My family came over, we ate dinner at 6. I went to bed at 7:30 while everyone was still at my house, because my ass had to be up at 1 in the morning to start my shift at 2 in the morning and then work until 2 p.m. of that day. I had a 12-hour shift on Black Friday. It ruined like my whole holiday, and it just ruined me. I remember I got home from that shift and crashed. I think I had to work the next day. I think I called out. Like, I was like, fuck you guys, I'm not doing that. I was so dead. That like wiped me out. And then after that, our store was open 24/7 through Christmas. I think it might have been open 24/7 until like January 1st. And they would schedule you. They didn't give a fuck. Okay? Like, I was going in for shifts beginning at midnight. I would have shifts from midnight until 8 in the morning, midnight till 10 a.m. And those were always the worst because lack of sleep is also like, I sound like a whiny bitch, I feel like. But it's so, I feel like as a society, we've like, have done this thing where like, if you, God forbid, you prioritize like sleeping and getting a good night of sleep, like actually getting like 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and like not draining yourself to work for a job that like doesn't fucking matter, like you're a pussy. And I fucking hate that. Like I'm sitting here like wah, but like, oh my God forbid I like wanted to like not work midnight to 8 a.m. at a Kohl's. It's not that serious. But I would, one of my triggers for IBS, which again, I don't think I knew back then, but I know now, is not sleeping well. If I get one bad night of sleep, it's whatever. Like, I'll probably feel kind of crappy the next day, but if I get like a few consistent nights of bad sleep, like I feel it. I'm nauseous. I'm having bathroom issues. Like my body is like shutting down. And they would like schedule me for like overnights all the time. And I remember like being like, listen, you can schedule me for like any other time of the day. I just don't want to do overnights. And they were like, listen, like, fuck you. Hey, listen, we hear you, but also shut the fuck up because your ass is actually scheduled for tonight at 2 a.m. And that always sucked. And I remember I would always go into those shifts so anxious and just knowing that the shift was going to like fuck me up for the next few days. And I just like, and customers would start coming in at like 8 a.m. and then you got to deal with them. It's like, oh my God, leave me alone. I didn't sleep. Okay. I've been up for over 24 hours and like, it just ruined my routine. Cause then I would have to like try to sleep during the afternoon. And like, that was never going to work. Like, it's just not like, you know what I mean? I'm such a whiny little bitch. This sounds like so whiny. Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like retail is like the hardest job in the world. Like, it's not, but there were parts of that job that like I physically thought were hard, dealing with the body I have and the condition I have and the health problems I have. I actually really loved that job at the same time because like I feel like working retail and like jobs like that, like the best people are just there. And it's like you all hate this fucking job like so much and you all just like bond over it. And you become best friends with your coworkers. So as shitty as it was to like come in feeling like shit every day and to be like anxious about like not knowing when my next shift was and the struggles that came with it, I loved my coworkers and they always made it so much better. Also, I had such amazing coworkers that like, if there ever was a time I had to call out because I wasn't feeling well, like they would always pick up my shifts. And I really tried my best to never call out. I think I only ever called out like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times within those 6 months, but like everyone was just always so kind about it. And we like really like had each other's backs. But I remember like there were times it was hard and like I would either come into my shift flaring or I would flare like mid shift, especially those longer like 10 or 12 hour shifts. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, there were so many shifts I spent. They would almost, so in Kohl's, there's like a few different departments. There's like the women's and juniors department. There's the men's, kids. There's like home and shoes. I think those are there's jewelry and stuff, but I was never there. I was almost always put in men's, which I fucking hated because who wants to look at men's clothing? Sorry, it's so boring. You're telling me I gotta fold ties? Fold ties, okay? And there's a way to fold ties in dress shirts for 8 hours? No thanks. I was almost always in the men's section by myself. And these men are coming up to me like, hey, I need a size, whatever. And it's like totally not the same as like women's size. And I'm like, I don't know how to fucking help you. Put a man here. I always worked in men's by myself, kids, or juniors. And I loved working in juniors. I also loved working in kids because that section was always like, it was always clean and there weren't that many people in it. But there were times I knew the best parts of those departments to hide when I didn't feel well. It was always like the dressing room, but there were always like, if I worked in juniors and I was flaring, there were so many dressing rooms for juniors that I knew that if I just went in and went to the last stall in the juniors dressing room, no one would ever find me. Okay. There were so many times I would take a trash can, because there was always like a little trash can when you walked just like into the general dressing room area. I would take that trash can, bring it down with me to the last stall of juniors, lock the door of the stall, curl up in a ball on like the little seat in the dressing room. I'd put the trash can next to me in case I had to get sick. And I would take like shifts in there. I would sit there for 5 to 10 minutes in misery. And then I would force myself to get up, go out into the public like department, so that if there were customers that needed help, I could quickly help them, so that my managers could see my face, knew I was working, whatever. And then I would retreat back to that same dressing room and die. And I would do that the entire fucking shift. I did that in the kids section too. Like I would like hide in the dressing rooms. If I ever had the blessing of working in shoes, because there was literally no one in that department, there was like a back room that customers were not allowed in, that you could just like, you could literally get lost in there. It's like a warehouse of just shelves of shoes. And it was always cold in there, which I love when I'm not feeling well. I love to like have like cold air on my face and stuff. And I could hide. Like I just knew, it's so sad. I knew the best places to hide in the store for when I felt like shit and just needed a fucking minute. I hated though that if I did have to use the bathroom and if I was flaring, like it was just like a public, like you had to use the public restroom that everyone was using, and it was always so crowded. And the other thing that always made me nauseous, well, yeah, that's true. But the other thing that made me anxious working in retail was like I kind of just said, like when I'm flaring or not feeling well, I like to go outside. I like to go outside and feel fresh air. Bonus points if it's kind of like cooler, fresh air hit my face. It's always a very like grounding experience for when I'm not feeling well. And working in that store was like awful because there's no windows. There, like, you can't just step outside and get some fresh air unless you went to the front of the store and walked out the entrance for everyone and stepped outside. And if you did that, like the managers hung out at the front, all the cash registers at the front, everyone's gonna see you walk out and be like, hey, you're mid-shift, bitch, where are you going? And I just felt trapped. Like I felt trapped in that building. That always made me feel like anxious and like not claustrophobic, but I felt trapped and like it made me feel sicker. I don't know if that makes sense. So that was like always interesting with that job. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, again, working retail, it's not like, when you think about it, it's not hard. It's like, you know, making sure your department looks put together and nice. Sometimes it's doing like some restocking, helping customers. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, no, it's not like doing, you know, whatever. But when working that job with a chronic illness was just hard because there is no working from home. You either show up or you don't. And it was a lot of just, it kind of is draining. Like, it's draining. It's just being on your feet, having to deal with people the whole time. Sometimes not getting breaks, not having enough time to take a break. Calling out was always a nightmare because they got so fucking pissed at you if you couldn't find someone to cover. They're always understaffed. It just is what it is. Now, with that, I do believe that working any type of job with a chronic condition or chronic illness can be hard. And, you know, it's all about learning how to manage your symptoms and everything, which is so much harder to do than to just say. But yeah, that was kind of my experience working in retail, and it was tough. It was tough. And I give retail workers so much credit. And especially if you have like IBS or some chronic condition on top of it, holy shit. Like, but again, also shout out to there are some professions I just knew I would never be able to do personally. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but personally I knew like I was never going to be a teacher because I just don't think my body would be able to handle that. Like it gives me anxiety to be in charge of a classroom day in, day out, not be able to like leave early. Like, how do you like, I don't know. Like, so shout out to teachers, shout out to nurses, to doctors constantly on their feet, not being able to call out because they have patients and they, like understaffed and like everything like that. Shout out to construction workers or people that are in the field and don't have access to a bathroom at all times. Like, you're relying on a porta potty to be on site, and no one wants to have diarrhea in a porta potty, okay? No one wants to be grunting and pushing out a pebble in a porta potty. My best friend who has IBS is a marine biologist. She lives on a boat, okay? Sometimes those boats like don't have bathrooms, and she's out at sea for more than 12 hours. How? I knew I could never work in a restaurant because I personally knew I could never be around food with the way I have like nausea all the time. And like, also if like anyone were to be like, oh, what do you suggest I get on the menu? I'd be like, bitch, I can't eat any of this. Also, people at restaurants are like customers at restaurants are like horrible. I just knew I could never deal with that. Obviously, if I had to, I would have worked at a restaurant, but like, I just give all of you guys so much credit that have those types of jobs. And there's so many other jobs I'm not thinking of that, like, shout out to anyone. If you're working with a chronic illness, chronic condition of any point, like, so much credit to you, so much love to you, so much strength to you. I know you're not getting paid enough, and I know you're not appreciated enough. So shout out to you. To anyone who is, sorry, if you're watching this on YouTube and have seen me spit every fucking time, I'm sorry, okay? I can't control it. To anyone who has kind of put their life on pause right now, their career on pause, to put your health first, whether that was your choice or because your body forced you to, shout out to you, okay? You're doing exactly what you need to be doing right now. I hope you do not feel guilty for not working. There's always time to start working again, okay? Take care of you. I know we touched on that in the college episode too. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing and what your body is telling you to do. But yeah, that's pretty much my rant on that. I hope this didn't sound too fucking whiny or anything. Like, I hope y'all know. Y'all know, right? The vibe is right, hopefully. But yeah, like I said, I would love to talk about my other jobs that I've had. I've had 2 other corporate jobs, and I'd love to talk about those because both of those experiences were wildly different. So I'll talk about those in the future. And yeah, I'm always so curious to know what you guys are doing. So let me know. Let me know on Instagram, TikTok. Leave a review telling me what you guys do, what the pros and cons are of your jobs, the struggles you have, especially dealing with IBS or whatever it is that you're dealing with. Let me know, okay? Because I just love to learn about what you guys do and all of that. And feel free to leave a review of this podcast. Let me know what you're thinking of it. Feel free to leave me suggestions on what you want me to talk about or questions. I can always just do a Q&A. And yeah, I love y'all, and we will chat again next week. I hope you all are feeling well. I hope you are getting through this week. All the love and power to you. Bye-bye.